Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. Um, I wanted today to first welcome you, state to you that I wish you a happy, joyous, and abundant new year. I hope that 2025 is a year that brings you closure, peace, and serenity. I um, I hope you had a good one and that you were with people you loved, friends and family members that you care deeply for. I personally was in meditation and in prayers, as I've been doing for the past few years. The festivity and the things I did in my youth, I don't do that anymore. I'm not in that stage in my life. I like to spend it alone in prayer, thinking about success and failure from the year before, and kind of like forecasting intentions, and kind of planning what I would like to happen for the year. And I did this in the context of the channeling that I sent on January 1st, um, of the Galactic Region Council, who remembering your way home prediction 2025. Now, interestingly enough, it's on the website, and I've also sent it via email to all of you for you to see. I put it also on social media for all of you to be able to read. It's a little bit long, but I want to go over some of the key items because I think it's a great reminder that Lord Melchior, who is our actually galactic logos. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. The Galactic Region Council is a council that is made of 12 galactic elders, and they are in the galactic core, and they oversee the evolutionary growth of all sentient, of all life form in the Milky Way galaxy. And the way they do this is that in the galactic core, there is a center, and all the planets and the suns, the trillions of planets, rotate around the core, and it takes 250 million years for that rotation to occur. One full rotation. That's called a galactic year. Now, they divide geographically because the galaxy is like a pie. It's relatively flat. It has a certain thickness, 100 light year across, but there are no stars above or below. It's not like a balloon. There are other spherical galaxies that are like a balloon. We are in a flat galaxy. And what happens is that they divide the galaxy, our Milky Way, into slices. And right now, our solar system is traversing the region or the geographic location that's under the overlighting presence of Lord Melchior. And therefore, at this moment, he is our galactic logos. He's the soul that is trying to help everybody in that quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy to evolve in a higher version of themselves. Okay? That's what I mean about him being a logos. So, and I had forgotten how connected and humane that he is. It's not that the other guardians, the other council, region council members, the other region are not knowledgeable and what's the word that I want to use? They seem quite distant. For example, if you compare the language and the care with which he explained and the softness in which he explained, that Melchior explained everything, you would notice that it's very different than the voice and the tone of last year channeling. there was a lot of detail last year, but it felt very scientific and very detached. And whereas this channeling felt very personal and very intimate, he came and met us where we are to explain some extremely advanced concept. And I remember a time out of WISAC, I think it was 2014 or 2015, I don't remember exactly, 2014 or 2013, at the Hill in the Catskill. He stepped up and also was very soft, and he has a sense of humor. Because when he started communicating with me 3 or 4 days before I finished writing it. And the way it happens for me is that since I am very intellectual and very too intelligent for my own good, when the connection begins, I begin to interpret my particularly when they explain scientific stuff, I get so connected with my frontal lobe and how that works or does not work, I lose the actual voice and the connection. And my own mind and my own brain steps in and start filling in the gap. And the channeling get cut off. So I received that channeling, that entire channeling in three days. It didn't happen in one sitting. When I'm doing trance channeling, where I'm in my heart and I'm surrendered, that's a different thing. When I'm doing like a WISAC celebration, I'm channeling live. When I'm receiving it and I'm typing, because I'm engaging now my frontal lobe to scribe down what I'm receiving, what I'm hearing. So it's a little bit more complicated for me because at that moment, other part of my brain gets involved and I tend to begin to judge and what's the word, and interpret what I'm hearing. And after, right, like the first day, I wrote a page and a half and I begin to fill in the gap. And when I reread what I wrote, that last paragraph, I'm like, that's not Melchior. This is me. So I left it there. I stopped. The next day when I came back in, I had to erase that last paragraph because it wasn't Melchior. Okay, and I had to start from where what Melchior wanted to say, and I did this. Again, it was better the next day. I wrote more, and then the next day I completed the whole thing. And I want to say this because I want you to understand that even for somebody like me, it's a whole process to get all of that information. And as far as the information is concerned, he went back to the beginning in 2013, whenever it was, when he said to us, the frequency and the bridge that connect, that will bring us to the new earth, is made up of three things: truth, authenticity, and transparency. And at that moment, I remember after he talked about it, he said, all secrets will be revealed. Everyone that exists that is not truthful, that's not authentic, that's not transparency, whatever they're hiding will be revealed. And we're seeing it right now with all of the scandals and all the secrets that's happening with all world leaders, Hollywood elite, politicians. All of this stuff is coming out. And that energy is being broadcast, as he says in the channeling, from the galactic core. So what happened is that as the planets that are in the Milky Way galaxy and all life forms are moving and rotating around, there is a expected from the galactic center and the Galactic Region Council, there is an expected evolutionary growth to happen for each time period. And it so happened in looking at our planet, they realized that we were not at the level of meeting up that energy marker. Now, in the past, in let's say the Piscean age, they would send an avatar and a world teacher, like Jesus, like Moses, like Abraham. They would send a great, or Krishna, or Buddha, or Kuan Yin. They would send a great teacher to teach humanity. In this instance, because of a very specific and rare cosmological event that they call the galactic equator crossing. I will explain what that is in a second. They realized that we would not be able to grow collectively to the point of achieving transcendence into the new earth. So therefore, they begin to broadcast what the term that he used was an accelerant, which is the frequency of truth, authenticity, and transparency. So from the galactic core, what truth is to them, what authenticity is to them, what transparency is to them, they are broadcasting it, they are sharing it by transmitting it back to the planet, to the whole planet, causing many of us, if we're using, as he described in the channeling, if we're using all of that energy correctly, it will accelerate our growth. And the karma that it would take us multiple lifetimes to correct, okay, and to repair will happen in years or months. What would take 4 or 5 lifetimes can happen in 4 or 5 years. And that's the reason for them to put this accelerant. They also said in the channeling that the reverse is also happening, because they know that there are many people on the planet who are so caught up in revenge, being right, retaliation, and tit for tat, that they will not accept this energy. And they said for them, what this energy will do is that it will de-accelerate, it will decelerate, and actually help them travel into a parallel realities or a version of the Earth at the moment of that galactic equator crossing that is very different than what the new Earth is going to be about. And in other words, if they are xenophobic because they believe their problem is coming because of the Black or the Jews or the Muslim or the whatever the group may be, okay? It's the external, it's the outside people. If they are so if that is their belief system and that's where they are, then that they will go into a reality where the time frame necessary, time will extend and dilate for them to give them enough time for them to evolve and grow and change their mind and acquire wisdom to realize that they were in error in believing so. And as he concluded, he said, for that paragraph, I remember in the channeling, he said, all soul will be redeemed. In the end, all soul will be redeemed, or something like that. So we are, there's a kind of beauty to me and a kind of kindness to know that even the left behind are not really left behind. They are placed somewhere in an environment where they will get the support that they need to learn what they need to learn. Only God can do that and allow for us to still have free will, but to isolate, because there's a divergence, there's a separation, and to isolate and create different pockets or different parallel world where individuals can go and spend more time to acquire the wisdom that they need and the growth that they need. Now, the sad part is that friends that we know, family members, people that we love, that we care for, are not going to go where we're going because it's an individual choice. Every one of us have to make the choice to either evolve and grow or not to grow. And interestingly enough, in one part of the channeling, I remember Lord Mercury mentioned very clearly, if you listen to others and you follow and you don't make a choice, you make a choice, or something to that effect. So for those people who are following a leader blindly, who allow the person, the leader, or the spiritual leader, or the political leader, or the whomever that they're following them blindly, they are making a choice. By trusting and investing their sovereignty into this being. So the lesson is for us to take our sovereignty back, and to that end, he said, this is why for the past 10 years, the Galactic Region Council has been giving you these yearly advice as a way to prepare you to make a conscious decision, a sovereign decision, a personal decision as to which reality you want to go into. Now, let's talk for a moment about the galactic equator crossing. And I'll stop to allow you to ask questions if you have any questions, and then we can move on. The galactic equator crossing is a very unusual cosmological event. We talked about the fact that Milky Way is a flat galaxy, but it's not level, it's not dead level. In fact, there's something they call, I had seen it in channeling, but now scientifically they have a term for it. They call it the galactic sheet. The way they were describing it, let's say 6, 7, 8 years ago, was the fact that the planets on that sheet would wobble up and down. They were undulating. They were moving because that plane was not flat. There were ripples, there were dips, and there were valleys, and there were peaks. Our Milky Way is in the outer edge. Our solar system is the outer edge of the Milky Way, in one of the pinwheel. Our solar system does not directly connect or see the light of the galactic core. There are too many stars, too many planets, too many dust particles, clouds, and because the core is in Sagittarius B, and where we are, we can't see it normally. But every 31 million years, we ride a cyclical wave that elevates the entire solar system for 3 days at a peak or a valley. It can be above or below the crust, at a peak or valley that connects us directly to the light of the galactic equator for about 3 days. And when that happens, incredible growth can occur, because the galactic core, although it has a black hole in it, but it has also a white hole, it's a nursery for growth, for evolution, and for acceleration. It's a birthing canal. So for 3 days in our lifetime coming shortly, it will appear to us, when we are at the crest, at the very top, we are riding that wave now, we are increasing, and we're getting closer and closer to it. But when those 3 days happen, the sun will seem to disappear. And I have to tell you, during the channeling, it was a very, and this is what happened a lot when I connect with the Galactic Region Council. I get this stuff multisensory. I hear the words, but I actually see and hear other things as well. Because in the channeling, when he was describing, you're going to hear howling sounds. You cannot trust your 5 senses, because at that moment, your 5 senses will be tested, because you're trying to traverse from 3D into a higher density, a higher dimension. And if you continue to trust it, what's going to happen is that you're going to be tested severely. That I heard the howling sound. I actually heard it. It sounded terrifying. And they said the sound are going to be so loud, they're going to sound like thunderclap. And there's going to be all kinds of horrible vision. And at that moment, you're supposed to stay indoor. Pull the curtains, close all windows, pull the curtains, and remain indoors. And at that moment, what you're supposed to do is to demonstrate the mastery of trusting the emerging dimension that is part of your authentic call that you desire to go in. You need to pray and ask God to lead you and give you safe passage into that world. Because if you spend your time listening to what's happening outside with the 3D, look what happened. Did you hear this? You can't trust anything in the with your five senses. You have to focus on what your heart and your intuition is trying to tell you about, because you're transiting. Because if you go outside, if you follow whatever fear, you're going to go to the realm of fear. You're going to go to the wrong place. Because whatever frequency and vibration that you exist in during those 3-day period, it will take you to a matching reality. So we should really be focusing during that transit and what he implied is that all of the existential crisis that you are now facing and have faced in the past now, that have shaken you to your core, to the point of bringing you so down that you feel like you can't survive this. And somehow your resiliency and your connection to God and to spirit help you transition to it and move. That's what you need to do. All of these events were nothing more but training for that great transit of the 3 days of darkness. So there was a reason for all of the turbulence, because if the 3 days of darkness were to happen all at once, none of us on the planet would survive it. So there had to be preparation to try to help us develop a trust in an emerging knowing that God is with us. And there was that one paragraph, I love that paragraph, when he kept saying that you have to know that you've been anointed by God. That no matter what external events are telling you about fear, about generating panic and everything else, stand fast and remain steady, and listen to what your heart is telling you. And trust that nothing can happen to you because you've been anointed by God. Don't trust the fear. To me, that channeling and that paragraph was it's like my whole being melted. And I realized what purpose. It's not that the pieces were not there before. They had said this, but it was very abstract. The other guardian had said this. It was extremely abstract. It was extremely scientific. It was, wave function collapse this and this scientific theory of that. And, it was very abstract. This connected me to my heart and to a feeling, and I have now a sense of what I need to do and why we're going through the disturbance and the turbulence we're going through. They are trying to train us, prepare us to get ready for something so major and so extraordinary. And by the way, he has a sense of humor. He's very cheeky because at one point, um, um, I couldn't translate this into words, but when I'm connecting to him, I could hear it in the intonation of his voice when he was saying, "This may sound like a fairy tale to you, but when it happens, and it will," like he was half chuckling when he said this, "and it will, I want you to remember this." And then he enumerated what he wanted us to do. Stay indoors, keep the curtain closed, and trust. Don't trust your five senses, but trust the lean into everything, how you overcame all the obstacle in the past so many years. Lean into that connection to that godly resiliency that exists inside of you. And pray and ask for safe passage. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Any questions, any comments?
That was an excellent description, Pierre. Thank you. In the time of these 3 days of the actual crossing, we are not just going to be focused on our own transit through this period of time, but aren't we also under the responsibility to assist others in a sense of maybe not being out and about with others, but coming together as a group to energetically or spiritually, on some level, be a grounding rod for them as well?
Yes, Janice. I think the way the whole channeling started was very surprising to me, because when Lord Melchior said, let's start at the beginning, and then he said truth, authenticity, and transparency as being the bridge, I realized that he was trying to talk to the average person on earth, not to the 144,000 alone. Whereas before, I think the other channelings were actually trying to address the 144,000 directly. He's trying to open the gate to allow more of the soul to comprehend that part. But you're right, from previous connections and channeling that had been done for over the past 10 years, the 144,000 us who have been training to do this, who have been posted to actually achieve this, we are energetically will connect with each other, and we will become a complex combination lock, where the frequency of Janice, of Pierre, of Kit, of Esther, of Bobby, of everyone else will vibrate and resonate in a specific way that will allow a beacon of light. Because he talked about the beacon as well. He said, your authenticity will become the beacon that will allow you to traverse this. But what we're going to do is that all of us are here to be of service, to assist others that cannot do the hard work that we have done. Some of you have been with me since 2007. And so many of you have done a lot of heavy work. And I've transformed. I've watched you change dramatically. I've seen you evolve greatly. So we and I've said this to you, that past the 8th level of initiation, the only way you can continue to grow to get to the Christ level initiation is for you to share the light, the love, and the neutrality that you know with other people. It's true service. It's true sharing. It's true. And the right kind of service. It's not you taking a bullet and being crucified for others. It's you empowering others by giving them the tool necessary for them to do for themselves. Because in the age of Aquarius, the sacrifice of the avatar is no longer necessary because everyone has to become God and goddesses. In this instance, what we're doing for the people, the rest people of the earth, is that we're going to release a collective broadcast at the time. And leading to that, I'm training you, all of you now, to do this. When I'm training you how to do the Beyond Time and Space, or the new version of the torsion field, I'm trying to teach you a way to banish time and space so that when the transit happens, you will do the Beyond Time and Space, and you will broadcast your core frequency, the peace, the serenity, the neutrality, and the transcendence that you know. You will broadcast it. My frequency, because I'm a unique manifestation of God, will be different from Kit, Janice, and everyone else is part of the collective. And all of us together will open a doorway, a beacon of light that will allow the rest of the planet, the rest of humanity, for those who are willing to sense it and to feel it, that are in their heart, like you said in the channeling, that are allowing their authentic core to show up. And as they do this, they will see or experience the opportunity for them to find the path toward the new earth, toward transcendence, toward higher densities, instead of parallel realities. I've said this before in past channeling, in past classes. Higher dimension of vertical, they go up vertically. Parallel realities go horizontal. And in your dreams, if you're dreaming yourself going up an elevator, or flying in the plane, or flying by yourself, or climbing a mountain, or descending a stairway, you're changing dimension. But if you see yourself in a train, on a boat, if you see yourself walking along a path, you're going horizontally. Vertically, you're going to a parallel world. So a lot of these other realities, pocket realities, where people will be giving time to work out whatever it is that they need to work out so that they will achieve the dimensional lift that they need, they're going to be vertical. Since the vertical and the horizontal are going to be open, we as the 144,000 collective will have to initiate. We're going to be the head of the plow. We're going to have to initiate collectively an opening. And in one channeling, I remember them describing it, that the 144,000, this is like maybe 3-4 years ago, as a complex a frequency combination lock that needs to be open. And when it open, it will, I thought that was, for me at the time, it was a great analogy. And it will allow us, all of us, to transmit that individual frequency, and collectively, it will create an opening. We become the chariot, we create a path. And those on earth who may not be part of our collective, but who are seriously and sincerely and purely, intentionally, we're trying to create a path for them, because the event is going to be so loud and disturbing. It is necessary that people like us create the path for them, because otherwise they will not find it.
Yes, and it's not that far off, as I recall.
Yes.
2030, around that time, is that?
Around that time, yes. Well, I haven't gotten an official time from the Galactic Regional Council. I have to be sincere with you. It's my perception that it's going to be around 2030-ish, around 2030 or after.
Yes. And it would be of course, as we're growing and developing, it would be hopeful that we would be aware of its imminence so that we might prepare ourselves as a collective to be ready for it. I mean, we are working toward being ready for it, but as we ready to launch, it would be wonderful for us to be in communication in some way.
Yes, well, this is why I did the WhatsApp group, and I'm trying to get everybody to actually do this, and at least when we are not in class, we can still communicate with each other if we have an alert about a sun flare, a solar flare, or something of that effect. And we can connect with each other and create a and the reason also for WhatsApp is that it's end-to-end encrypted. This is the reason why I'm doing it, is that because I want the information to be private. I don't want it to be, and I'm curating the people that I bring into the group because I want to make sure that we are all doing this work. We're sincere and we're doing this work. But there's going to be an energetic connection as well that's going to happen that will transcend the electronic. The zeros and the ones. And so you're right. We will communicate with each other, and it is my hope, it is my purpose to train the 144,000 and give them this information. And I'm doing my best to try to broadcast it out. And there are times where I feel like I'm speaking to the wind. There are other moments I feel people are listening to me because I've been speaking to my small group, all of you now, for some of you since 2007. And a lot of you have heard me or are following me. But we need to extend the broadcast into to more people. And I think that channeling, the way it was transmitted by Lord Melchior, will allow other people to understand it better. Whereas the other channeling were more for the 140, for those of us who were already convinced and then in there, and we already knew all of the information, and we were looking for more detail about what does that mean, the actual crossing, what was the detail about this, that, or the other. He humanized everything and made us understand in a very simple way. As I said, the part that I love the most, it's when you talked about God's hand is in everything. When you are seeing politicians or people doing crazy things, when you're seeing all these crazy things happening, mass shooting, death, and all that, God is in everything and God is orchestrating everything. Nothing is going to happen to you because you need to trust and have faith that you've been anointed by God. Nothing will happen to you. So that part, that trust in the higher power, becomes the key, your faith, your certainty in your connection to your higher power. Because he said it, there are no safe places to go. Only safe people who are so connected to the divine that it's like they have a force field around them. And whatever is happening will not touch them. They will cross the street and, whatever cave-in that's going to happen, as they cross the street and go on the other side, it will happen behind them. Nothing will touch them. Any questions, any comments? Okay. There is a different part of the channeling, which was at the beginning, that I want to expand on, where he described what he sees as being truth, authenticity, and transparency. And I love the way he described the fact that truth is not a fixed point. It exists in a continuum of knowing. And that all truth and all expansion and all knowing, we have to be very aware that other people are not as smart, as fast, or as wise as we are. And to try to bully other people and force them and prasticize them and try to force them into your understanding and your breakthrough and your insight is you not understanding what truth actually is. Because he described it by saying, I think that was a great example. Your truth is not comparable to what exists, what truth is to us in the Galactic Region Council, or something to that effect. And so, and they are not forcing anything on us. They're just giving us advice, and we are free to accept it or reject it. We can accept it, and we can say, no, I'm not listening to this. This is hogwash. This is nonsense to me. I'm not listening to it. So we have to be very aware of this and realize that whatever that truth is for us at this moment, we have to allow our heart to accept the limitation of others. Because I would want somebody that also has a higher truth than me to have the same kindness and to have mercy on me by not trying to force me into their understanding, but rather allowing me to evolve into that expansion by myself, by my free will, by my work and my own volition. So understanding that part is extremely important. That truth exists in a continuum of knowing. And I would dare to say that even the galactic masters themselves are pursuing higher truth, because beyond the galaxy exists universal truth. Beyond universal truth exists cosmic truth, multi-universal, and then cosmic truth, and so on and so forth. So it keeps expanding. And we should not, I remember having a conversation online with somebody that was part of my group, on an online group I had, and she kept on saying, I know exactly what's going on. I know the truth. I know exactly what's going on. I was like, wow, how sad is that to think that you now have the absolute truth in terms of what's going on socially, politically, and everything else. I know exactly what's going on. This is somebody that's completely certainly following a leader of some kind that's feeding her this information. And second, it is somebody that's stuck. And it's ego. It's all ego-based. Any question, any comments about this?
Well, I do have one thought about truth, transparency, and authenticity. That does not mean that you have that. I'm sorry. That we have to be an open book to everybody, does it?
No, exactly. He even said this. He said, okay, so the truth is one thing. It's you being true to yourself. So I may have an understanding of what's going on in the world, the truth. I don't need to go around and tell everybody, look, I know the truth. I know the truth. Over here, I know exactly what's going on. If you're doing this, it's your ego that wants attention. It's something else. And then he went into describing authenticity. And he said, and I love the description of authenticity. He said, to be authentic is to exist as your real self. And whatever that real self is, it's very different than the personas that you play throughout the day. Because in your descent from higher dimension into becoming on earth, you're all fragmented into pieces. And as you fragmented and come down, your authentic nature, who you are, all of us learn this very quickly. It is a point of extreme vulnerability. It is a part of us that we feel if we share it with the world would destroy it. Because it is, in some ways, we interpret it as being a weakness. It is a sense that if we expose this part of our heart, of our core, the rest of the planet would trample upon it, and it would crush us, it would destroy us, and we don't want that to happen. Therefore, we're going to create masks or buffers, walls, and we create these personas. One is a defense, a warrior. One is a attack dog. One is and we create multiple personas. Like the persona you have at work is not the persona you have when you're your family, and you can have so many personas as almost characters that you would actually, as an actor, become in a play, right? But over the years, we play the character so long, we begin to believe the character is us. So many of us have been completely disenfranchised from our own authentic nature. We don't know what it is. Because we've played so many characters, we completely lost that vulnerable point. We have no idea where it is. And if you can remove the masks and begin to go deep in your core and begin to figure out who you really are, what that vulnerable point, and he said this, I want you a hint. The more vulnerable you feel, the more exposed you feel, the more you feel that you have to bury this even deeper. No one in the world should know this about me, because if they know this, they will destroy me. If you have that experience as you're in your meditation and your self-inquiry, that's your authentic core. Now, having found this, because that authentic core is your unique vibratory signature. That vulnerability is actually, because when we grow up as children, we are being taught very quickly by the family, and it's unconscious. No one says this to us, but we learn it by watching the environment. Individual expression is frowned upon. We all want to be loved, to belong, and to be part of a group. We're social beings. Therefore, we will do whatever is necessary if any individual expression, somebody dancing in one foot, somebody doing something different. It's not, you're bullied, you're ridiculed, you're made fun of for being different. Yet that difference is your God self. It's the actual seed that God put in you. That if you allow it to flourish and nourish, it will change the world. It will change you and change the world. So the suggestion is for us to, when we find that authentic core, find someone that you love or that loves you, and share that vulnerability with that one person. as a way to externalize it and to acknowledge it to the universe and to say it out loud. And part of the reason for this is that sometimes that vulnerability is seen as shameful. It's a weakness. I shouldn't be this way because of the way the world domesticates us, friends, family members, teachers, parents. They made us feel ashamed for being that way, when in fact it's our strength because it's our unique manifestation of the divine. And so when we find that we can express it to one person, and over time, you might get to a point where you begin to express it to more than one person. Now, it took me years because while I was an architect and doing corporate work and all that, I was teaching on weekends. I was teaching in the evening. I was doing healing. I was doing other things. But I didn't want the two worlds to collide. I was in the closet with my spirituality. I have friends of mine that I've known since I was at Columbia in my university, in my 20s, who now are realizing all this stuff about me. They're like, but when you were, I didn't know anything. I didn't know you were doing all of this. I said, because I was closeted. I was doing it. I was reading all this book and I was traveling, doing all I was pilgriming, doing a pilgrimage around the world. I didn't want anybody to know this because I was hiding it, which takes us to the next piece, which is the transparency. Transparency is you cease to lie and deceive your own self. And it doesn't mean that when you discover that authentic part of you, that you're gonna be doing in the channeling. I don't remember the exact word, but he said something to the effect, you are not gonna emotionally flash everyone that you see by telling them, look, this is, like, think you can imagine a flasher. Look, this is my authentic core. Look, at every corner. That's not what you're gonna do. You will have discernment and you will select moment when you want to broadcast this. Now, for me, over the years, I've done all these years of me teaching. I got to a point where I don't care anymore if you know that my vulnerability and all that. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you. I don't have a problem anymore saying things and because I am at a point now of realizing that my vulnerability is actually my superpower. It's not a weakness. It is actually where God exists in me. But it took me years to get to an emotional point where I can say this and I can mean it. And all of you might be a different place where you're closer to the discovery of that authentic call, and it might take you a few more years to get to that point. One of my friends, again, and I went to school with, the same friend, we were talking recently, and he wrote a book, and he was like, aren't you afraid of how people are going to judge you? Because I coached him so closely with that book because there are multiple things that he was saying. I'm thinking, but you're saying this as if you're writing a corporate, because he worked in marketing, high level marketing. It's not, I don't believe it. It's insincere. And I coached him to change the language. And of course, the book is much better now. He published it. And he was like, why aren't you afraid how people, I said, I'm past that point. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. Peekaboo, there it is. My vulnerability is my superpower. So to answer your question, how you communicate this with the world is also in a continuum of expression instead of a continuum of knowing, Janice. At some point, you might get to a point where you realize actually it's a strength. And I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to express it. And as I did a talk on when Bobby was teaching at Baruch, she had asked me to come for a presentation there. And I did a presentation on authenticity. And this is with the students. And I remember very well that during that talk, and people were coming in and out because it was around the lunchtime and all that. At some point, because of everything that I said, the whole place was completely quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Because I was talking about vulnerability, I was talking about authentic nature, I was talking about all of this, and I was talking about things that they silently in their core, they know this to be true. And here is the greatest thing about vulnerability. Okay? And this is why it's a superpower. When you expressed your core and authentic nature, your real self, to somebody else, one person or a group of 4 people or more, it doesn't matter. Initially, the reaction is that everyone will be quiet because they're going to be stunned. And I, for years, interpret this as a rejection because I was so sensitive that the world will reject me and ostracize me and say to them, I'm Quasimodo, I'm weird. That every time I allowed this part of me to come up, I always met with the same thing. People didn't know how to express themselves. They remained quiet. There was a stillness. Everybody just looked at me stunned, silent, with their eye like a deer in the headlight, the bug out. And I always interpreted it the wrong way until in 2015 when I went to a conference in Los Angeles and I did this, and this woman got up right, first it was the same style expression, and I had hot tears rolling down my face because I'm like, here we go again. The same crap is going to happen to me again. And then she came up to me, she said, that was beautiful, and she hugged me. And all of a sudden, everybody just like ran around me and ran to me. Oh my God. And I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to lay it out in details. Initially, you're stunning them because you're reminding them that they too, inside of them, have an authentic core, that they are buried deeply and they have to exhumed and unearthed, and they have to allow to express so that they can experience freedom and liberation. Because that authentic core, it's that unique vibratory signature of God within them. And not doing this is a sin against themselves. So to allow to express this initially to someone, you stun them. Because you all of a sudden are putting your finger on something that's so deep inside of them that they are trying to suppress. All of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, I have the same thing inside of me too. I have something similar. That day I experienced this. And then all of a sudden, everybody was running to me and saying, thank you, thank you, thank you for this. Because you're reminding them that they have work to do. You're giving them permission to do the work. Because if you can have the courage to do this, they should also find a way to exhume this and also find a path to express it to the world. Okay, Janice, I express a lot more than what you asked, I suppose.
That was no, very, very important and very good what you said. I'm thinking about my own path from childhood till now. It's kind of a long path, but in senior high school, we were asked to write our biographies in English class, and mine was pointed out in class as being a structural anomaly of excellence because it was all pegged around music. But that wasn't my intention to give it a structure through that. But the high points that I pointed out were all musical uh, experiences in my life. And so I wonder if we're not looking at least to start, where your passion lies is where your authenticity is housed. And then perhaps deeper going into what what below that or what in addition to that contributes to your core, if that wouldn't be a good place to start to explore.
Yes, Janice, I agree with you. For example, if for example you have a passion for animals, okay, and you have or when you take care of other people, it brings you joy. So the experience I used to do with my clients, this exercise of actually listing the earliest memory you have of being happy. What were you doing? Who were you with? What environment were you? And that kind of thing. If you go back and you can experience this, if the experience, whatever that was, your authentic core is in that vicinity. Okay? That experience of joy, of you laughing, of you, having, of really being touched by bliss, your authentic core is near there. So if you follow, and it doesn't have to be a later passion, but if you go back to the earliest passion, you understand? Your authentic core is there. And that will bring you closer to finding whatever, that buried treasure.
Interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the transparency part is that disclosure. Don't lie. Okay? It doesn't mean that you're going to go around and tell everybody everything, that's happening. You have to have discernment because you exist in the real world. There are certain information, if they're private to you or private, somebody confided in you, there are certain things you don't share. It doesn't mean you're going to be, a telephone and you're going to tell everybody's secret, including your own secret. That's not what it means. It means that you don't exist in untruth. You try not to lie to yourself, and you try not to lie to others. You try not to, because the greatest lie are the lie that we tell ourselves, and our lies are heaviest for us, not for others. They are heaviest for us. So we need to figure out, as these informations, whatever it is that we are, secrets that we're holding, that the secrets, typically the secrets that you hold, it's because and the truth that you're not telling, it's because you want to have tactical advantage for defense or for power, for ego purposes. Whereas if you're being transparent and truthful, it doesn't mean that you need to, there's a nuance. It doesn't mean that you have to tell everybody else's secrets and all of that. That's not what it means. It means that you can because everybody is on their own journey. If somebody tells you something in confidence, there's no reason why you have to share it with the rest of the world. But there is a way to express certain things that are truthful without being a blabbermouth, and release other people's confidence that was given to you. You can tell people point blank, I cannot talk about this because that information was given to me in confidence. That's truthful. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you can point blank say, I'm not gonna share this with you. Because that information, I made a promise not to reveal it. I remember the actor who played Snipes in the Lord of the Ring, which is the character that was a teacher with Professor Dumbledore, and no one ever knew whether he was good or bad, and so on and so forth. He said initially it was the first two books that were written, and he was playing this character. He didn't know how to play the character correctly, and he asked the author J.K. Rowling to have a conversation about the character. He said, "I need to understand where this is going." She had mapped out all of the 7, 8 books already. She knew where the character was going to go. And then she said, J.K. Rowling, when he called her, she said, "I cannot talk to you right now about the character because I'm with my family. Let's have a conversation. They make an appointment." She was that serious about keeping the secret. And then she said, J.K. Rowling gave me one note about the character, and that's all I needed to evolve the character, because she wanted everything to go according to when the book was released and the information was released and the movie was made. She didn't want even the people playing the character to know too much. And then the interviewer asked the actor, "What did she tell you?" He said, "I'm not going to tell you because I made her a promise to never tell a soul about it." And I thought that was such a strength in his character. That even J.K., this actor is deceased now, but even at that moment, he was like, "I'm not going to tell you because I made her a promise that I would not reveal this to another soul. Tell no one this, but this is where this is going." There is a way to be transparent without being someone that reveals all of your own personal secrets or other individual secrets. And you can exist. In other words, to be transparent is to exist in truth. So it goes back again to the truth. And that truth is relative in that spectrum of knowing to where you are. And only you can judge how transparent you can be or not be. Any other questions or comments? I'm looking at the channeling now to see if there's anything else I missed. Oh, of course, he talked about the predictions. That was the next piece, the final piece. And he said that the climate change events are going to continue. And of course, there's going to be social, political upheaval. The country will implode from within. He talked about world leaders losing power, losing stuff, and some may even lose their lives. Be that as it may. And he described, let me see. And he talked about the fact that the Earth magnetic field is reversing. And that reversal means that the North Pole, the magnetic north, not the physical north, but the magnetic north, is moving in the Bering Sea and is trying to, is going to end up in the Pacific Ocean. Past Russia in the Pacific Ocean. And once it gets close to that, there's going to be all kind of like, as it stands right now, because of the shift from where it was before in Alaska, it has already weakened the own magnetosphere that protects us from space radiation. And because of this, the solar flares that are being released that let's say the last solar cycle 11 years ago, we could withstand much easily, let's say M-class solar flare, or reacting as if they were X-class solar flare, because there is not enough protection in the magnetic field to hold the radiation coming from the sun away. And he also said because of this, the tectonic plates of the planet will begin to slip against each other, and that's going to cause volcanic eruption. He also mentioned that but all of this may appear initially as a bad thing. But in the end, it's not a bad thing, because ultimately what's going to happen is that these changes, the porous nature of the magnetic field of the Earth magnetosphere is going to also be for benefit, because at the moment of the galactic equator crossing, the light of the galactic core will envelop the planet with celestial light that will allow the dimensional and parallel realities divergence to occur with great ease. Therefore, what was a lemon will turn into lemonade. It's going to serve us ultimately for that transition into the divergence into the new Earth.
That was so good to hear when I read that part. It underscored also what he was saying, that God is in everything. So
Correct.
even though things look negative, that's not the way it will play out.
Yes. And this is true of political news, weather news. It's true of everything. You need to understand that whomever is loudly saying something that may sound negative to you and to your collective, trust in God. God is doing this. They are not. Whatever their agenda is, it's going to turn into a good. Trust that. I want to find that paragraph and I want to read it, because I think it's that important. This is at the very end. It's the third paragraph from the bottom. In the years to come, many will experience great fears arising from loud and threatening external events and circumstances. Stand fast in your spiritual practice, for God is in charge of everything. Everything that you will experience is permitted to happen by God. Stop being afraid, for you are anointed by God, and no harm will come to you. Rest in that knowing and calm down. Let God guide your path safely into higher consciousness. And that's the end of the paragraph. I thought that whole thing was so beautiful to me, because it felt like, oh my God, this is exactly the what I needed to hear. Because again, I'm not connected to the news in any major ways. I haven't watched any news media channel since November, like for like 3 months now. So even before November, October, I've not watched nothing. And I feel better. I'm watching. If I'm go on YouTube, I watch animal stuff, people raising elephant, uh, geese and swan crossing the street. I watch different things to elevate me into something else. I don't want to watch the stuff that's telling me the sky is falling. I'm too sensitive, and I live, as you all know, in New York City, and I'm in the middle of all of energetic chaos, and I need to preserve my energy and hold a beacon into hope. And if I watch all of these things, my hope frequency will diminish. My neutrality will diminish. And I need to do this not only for me, because I'm also helped, because my energy is so big. I'm also entraining other people. I'm supporting them. And that's my service.
I do the same, Pierre, but could I ask a question about no harm shall come to you? If
Yes.
you're speaking to everybody, harm does come to some people, right? They're caught up in a fire or an earthquake or a volcano or something, but in a bigger sense, maybe that's part of their plan.
They are
They're,
exiting to go to a parallel world to begin with.
mhm,
The people
parallel.
who are exiting now, they're exiting, they want to go somewhere else already. They're making the choice to leave now
Oh,
before the crossing.
so wars and all
Yes,
the
we all have karma, including countries. And it's a way to work out the karma. Your personal karma, the country's karma, your race karma, it's a way to work out the karma. And the reason we're saying the mantra gate, gate, paragate, that helps remove the negative karma and take us into light. Karma is accelerating. And this is going to be true this year. And he talked about the financial market being restructured in an extreme way this year. And again, it's because karma is getting accelerated. Because you cannot go into higher dimension with negative karma. It doesn't work. You're too heavy. It's like you're trying to go in a hot air balloon with an anvil around your ankle. It's not going to work. But because of the accelerant of truth, authenticity, and transparency, karma is accelerated. And sometimes it's like detoxing too fast. And certain things need to happen. Death, there's war around the world. People are dying. I'm not denying this. And I feel sorry. I hope there was a different way to do it. But sometimes these things have to happen so that certain greater lesson can be understood and learned by everyone else that's involved in the conflicts.
So in the definition of harm, when he said no harm shall come to you, there is the field that opens up into a broader definition then.
And it's also, remember what he said after that, you're anointed by God. How many people on the planet have that connection that they feel anointed by God? In other words, if you are connected to God and you're praying and you're so connected that you feel anointed by God, no harm will come to you.
That's the difference. Yes, okay, I got it. That's what we're aiming toward, that
Yes.
connection. And that is the gate connection.
Yes. Because it will take you into a different world. Your frequency will change. And whatever the chaos is, it will not touch you.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, let's take a 5 minute break and then we'll do our closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly,
Allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you notice. Listen. Listen as if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. What information, insights, and knowing that your heart is trying to share with you. Keep breathing deeply and slowly, and listen as if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Now find your authentic nature. Your authentic core is your unique vibratory signature. It is your spiritual fingerprint. Listen with your heart and whatever false beliefs, masks, that may present themselves, move them behind you. As you continue to look for your authentic nature. The unique way in which God is manifesting in you. Your authentic call is a point of extreme vulnerability. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let the truth of your nature be revealed to you. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. How you all doing?
I know we have to end the class, but I'm reluctant to leave this space because it's gone very deep and very revealing.
Wonderful, Janice.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm gonna let you enjoy the rest of the evening in that way. Want to thank all everyone for listening to us, and if you're watching on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel on Patreon. Thank you for your support, and I'll talk to everyone next week. Blessings, everyone. Happy New Year. Love you all. Thank you.
Good night. Good night. Love you all.